Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas here with you this morning. We are still joined by Julia Shaheen and Mariana DiGiacomo, and now joining us is author Michael Hingson, his book Thunderdog, and also a children's version, Running with Roselle. Good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, and we are thrilled that you're able to join us this morning. What a story. We kind of got a bit of an overview in the first section, but first of all, your life is amazing. Nothing held you back. Nothing has ever held you back being unsighted, correct? Let us know a little bit about how you grew up.
Well, I grew up like any other kid. My parents were told when it was discovered that I was blind that I should be put in a home because blind children could never grow up to amount to anything, and that all I would do would be to be a drain on the rest of the family, and my parents rejected that.
May I ask what year that was?
That was 1950, and you know what? It's changed a little bit, but not a lot.
Wow.
It is so unfortunate that in our society today, people continue to have a very strong, all-encompassing fear of losing eyesight and being blind. We emphasize eyesight so much that we forget that there are other ways to do things. And the general presumption is that you're helpless if you can't see. That hasn't changed a lot. Everything that we do in our society continues to try to justify that. I mean, there was a survey done about people and some of the fears that they have in 2014, and the survey asked people what their greatest fear was, and it listed 4 fears, and one of the fears was blindness. Another one was cancer, and I don't remember the other 2 fears. But out of the survey, it said one of the top fears in the country is going blind. Well, of course that was one of the top fears on that survey because that's all they listed.
Oh.
There's so much that, and by the way, most of the people on the survey answered that they didn't know what their top fear was, but that's not what they led with. They led with one of the top 4 fears is going blind. We have such a strong misconception about blindness and what blind people can and can't do that it leads to so many roadblocks being put in our way because we don't make very many things inclusive. And so as a result, when my parents said back in 1950, we don't care that he's blind, he's going to grow up and do whatever he chooses, that was very unusual then, and it is still very unusual for parents to let their blind children take risks and do what they want to do.
Blindness did not hold you back as a child, and it certainly did not hold you back in your career. I think one of the things that's so exciting about the book is you're becoming employed somewhere at the World Trade Center. Talk about that.
Well, I was employed by a company who had been involved with my work before because I had worked for a different company selling this other company's products. I worked for a reseller that sold products that a manufacturer created. They hired me to open an office in the World Trade Center for the company because the company needed to have a New York presence, and it didn't have one before then. It was doing it through other means. And so as a result, I went in and opened the office, which is what I was hired to do. So we were successful at getting the office open. We were successful at hiring people and establishing a presence and doing all those things that a company would want us to do.
You worked on the 79th floor, is that correct?
78th floor of Tower 1.
Of Tower 1.
Right, the North Tower.
So help us understand what happened that morning. You're on the 78th floor, and as I recall, it's not just a stairwell that goes straight down from the top to the bottom. There's a bit of maneuvering that's involved in being able to exit, or there was, to be able to exit those towers. Can you help me out there?
The way it actually worked is that you went down about 10 floors, and then you had to kind of jog over and then go the rest of the way down. So the stairs did go most of the way down.
Okay.
But that wasn't a huge thing. The issue was that you couldn't take the elevators in an emergency, especially when there was fire, which we knew existed, because the whole center of the World Trade Center buildings were hollow. The hollow cores where all the elevator shafts were and so on. And as a result, fire, if it got into the core, which it did, could get into the elevators, which it did, and anyone who was in an elevator car could perish. So when I evacuated my office, having spent time learning what to do in an emergency because that was my job as the leader of the office. I made sure that the person who evacuated the guests that we had in the office that day got them to the stairs, not the elevator.
Were they playing some kind of a pre-recorded message of
No.
don't? Oh, okay, tell us what you were hearing.
Well, none of that. There was a message in Tower 2. At first, it said you don't need to evacuate because that tower hadn't been hit. Of course, later that turned out not to be the case. And also, as we learned later, the evacuation order for Tower 2 had been given, but it actually hadn't reached the dispatchers. But in our building, nobody waited for the building evacuation orders. Eventually, they did come, but by that time, anyone who could was well on their way down the stairs.
Okay, so there was no hesitancy to move. You knew it was an emergency. You knew you had to get out of there.
There's no question for anyone about getting out of Tower 1.
Was it clear what had happened? That a plane had struck?
No. Well, it wasn't for us. We were on the 78th floor on the north side, and the airplane hit on roughly the 96th floor on the south side. Mm-hmm. So there was no way we knew it was an airplane. We figured out it might have been from the fumes that we smelled, I and others, in the stairwell, that we figured out were the fumes from burning jet fuel. But, again, we didn't know. The first time I really knew what had happened was after both towers had collapsed, and I spoke to my wife, who told me that it had been a terrorist attack. The only time before that I spoke with her was just after the plane hit, just to tell her that we were leaving the building.
Mm-hmm. You and Roselle had not been partnered together for that long at this point. Talk about the relationship with Roselle and how you'd been working on building that.
Well, we had been together since November of 1999, so we had been together for 22 months, mm-hmm. which is a decent time. But what you need to understand is also what the relationship really is, because people make it out, again, part of the misconceptions about blindness, they make it out to something that it's not. That is, our job is to work as a team. Her specific responsibility is to make sure that we walk safe. Mm-hmm. She does not know where I want to go, nor does she know how I want to get there. And one of my challenges on a daily basis in the World Trade Center was to try to go to different places or to go to a particular place in a different way so that she didn't get into the habit of going one way to get anywhere, which also helped me do a better job of learning the complex. But what her responsibility is, as I said, is to make sure that we walk safe wherever we go. If she encounters something that causes her to stop because she can't go forward, like a curb or something blocking the way we're going, then it's my responsibility to figure that out and tell her where I want her to go. That's a process called intelligent disobedience, which basically is I've instructed her to do something she can't, and she has the authority to not obey mm-hmm. my command in that situation, and then I have to figure it out, and then we figure out what to do. My responsibility is to know where to go and how to get there and to give her step-by-step directions. So we're walking down a sidewalk, and I'll tell her to turn left or right or forward to cross the street. I know when to cross the street by the traffic flow and so on. Again, dogs don't do traffic lights. It's
right.
not her job.
Right. Yes. So, but that very fact that you had instructed her to learn different ways to maneuver could have very well helped on that morning, yes?
Well, again, the issue is that it always helps. It's not a matter of what she learns and doesn't learn. It's a matter that I don't want her anticipating.
Yes.
Because if she does, and I don't want to go that way, then we might have a little bit of a war about which way we're going to go. Mm-hmm. I remember a story, even before I got my first guide dog, of somebody who had a dog and who every month paid her electric bill. She would walk down the street, she would go in and pay the electric bill, and then she'd go somewhere else. So this particular day, it was the normal day of the month that she paid her bill. She didn't want to pay the bill that day. She wanted to go get a cup of coffee, and the dog wouldn't let her go past the electric company until she went and paid her bill. So, it's really a matter of they get into routines and ruts like the rest of us. And so it's important for a dog not to anticipate. It's natural for them to want to. So I needed to work to make sure that she didn't. And the only way to do that is to kind of approach things from different ways as much as I could.
As much as you can without giving everything. I mean, we want to read the book. That's the main thing. And the book is Thunderdog, and we're talking to author Michael Hingson. How do you maneuver something when everything's different? You're in an emergency, and particularly once you get out of the building where everything has crashed down, nothing's familiar. How do you work together as a partner in that way?
Well, first of all, that's not totally true. When we got out of the building, I still knew the city and knew how to travel around the city.
Okay.
And we were away from the building when it collapsed, so all the other buildings that I am used to and all the other parts of the geography are still there. Again, that gets back to the presumption that everything is confusing, and it's not necessarily confusing because the whole point was to be away from where everything crashed down, so you're in another place. But again, it's a matter of learning the city. The problem that all of you have, you people who I love to call light dependent, you guys have your own challenges in life. And the problem is that you have one way of doing things. When you're in a building like that, or you're in a place that has an emergency, like there's smoke in the hallways and so on, you can't see the signs. You don't know or may not know exactly what you're supposed to do because you can't see the sign that says, here's the elevator or here is the stairwell. My job is to know that stuff. And in reality, one of the lessons that I talk about is we all should. We should not be dependent on signs. We should not be dependent on using light and what we see to get around. We should truly know how to get around without even having what we're used to, that is light, to do it. I spoke once at a safety council meeting, the Ozark Midwest Safety Council, where we talked about emergency preparedness and so on. And out of that, a power company in Missouri changed the way they train their employees who work in the electric plants to evacuate by showing them how to evacuate completely blindfolded. And they created pathways on the floors because the presumption is if they have to evacuate, the odds are there's going to be smoke and so on, and they won't be able to see where they're going. So they learn how to do it a different way, which is a good thing. More of us should do that, and more of us should insist on having better ways of evacuating and more preparedness for emergencies than we typically do.
What I'm hearing you saying is that you were at an advantage.
I was at an advantage because I spent the time to learn, which also helped me be better prepared to deal with an emergency. Because every day I went into the World Trade Center, I thought to myself, what am I going to do today if there's an emergency? And I kind of had a mindset that helped me. So in that sense, yeah, I guess you could say there was an advantage. But it's because I took the time to do it, and that's what was important.
Any special commendations that Roselle received for her bravery?
Well, first of all, the incredible part with Roselle is that she did exactly what she was supposed to do. She kept focused. She was a great teammate. And the point is we worked to help each other get out and get down the stairs and do the things that we needed to do, and we each did our jobs well. After September 11th, she won from Great Britain the PDSA Dickin Award. She won the American Kennel Club Award for Canine Excellence for a service dog. And in 2011, she won the first American Humane Association Hero Dog Award, which we're very proud of.
So exciting. Well, we are thrilled that you're going to be coming to our community September 14th. Mariana, really quickly, if you give us all the details how we can get tickets. Michael, thank you again for joining us.
I am looking forward to being there.
We are too.
We're looking forward to seeing all of you.
Thank you. So you can go to thestarklibrary.org. Just go to our website and click on our events tab, and you can sign up to register for the Michael Hingson event. You can also do it through the Palace Theater's website as well. There's a link to our website there. Again, it's September 14th at 6:30. There will be a presentation. We also have some other special things in the lineup, like a musical presentation of patriotic music from Creative Canton Music. And also the Canton Police Department is going to be bringing a canine officer. So we're really excited about that. After the presentation, there's an opportunity to ask Michael questions, and then he'll also do a book selling and signing.
Perfect.
And when we sign books, we're also going to have stamped with Roselle's paw print that we got 6 days before she passed away, so we'll stamp every book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Michael, that's really special. Thank you so much. The book is Thunderdog. You want to read that? Have the kids kids read Running with Roselle, and we got a scoot. Thank you so much to all of you, and thanks for what you do for our community.
Thank you.